Hi, this is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and ATM Mastermind Group page, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 5 industry terms that maybe you've heard or maybe you haven't heard, and now we're going to explain what they mean. Always remember, we have an ATM A to Z that teaches you from A to Z how to not only get into the ATM business but be successful into the ATM business. We also have an ATM Mastermind Group page that's free to join for like-minded individuals just like yourself who want to learn a little bit more about the ATM business and be in a community of like-minded business ATM owners. All right, so we're going to jump right into it like we always do. We got 5. Here we go. Number 1, agent. So what's an agent? So an agent is usually a person who owns the ATM, places it into the location. We'll call them an ATM business owner, but they are now an agent. They're usually under an ISO. So most of the time when I look through all the groups in the ATM community, people are agents in the group, and they're saying that they're ISOs or processors, but in fact all they are is they're an agent. They've been in the game for a little while, and now what they're doing is they're asking other people to go underneath them, but they're in what we call an agent. Pretty much like a real estate agent, it's the same thing. Point number 2 is IAD. You'll hear that term when you get into the business and you're in the business for a while. You'll hear that term, IAD. Phil, what's an IAD? An IAD stands for Independent ATM Deployer. All that means is probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there was some controversy and they wanted to glorify what we used to call sub-ISOs. A sub-ISO, it was just an agent. But they wanted to make all the terms come together. So what they said is, you know what, we're just going to call everybody in the ATM business Independent ATM Deployers, or IADs for short. That way it makes everybody, they feel all nice and they don't feel left out. I don't understand why they did that, to be honest with you, but that's what they did. So again, Independent ATM Deployer, IAD. Term number 3 that you might hear a lot, a sponsor bank. This is what a sponsor bank is. We're an ISO, and to become an ISO, you have to hook up with a bank who does all your due diligence with you. They communicate between Visa, MasterCard, all the other sponsor banks, Cirrus, Nice, Pulse, Maestro, all the other sponsor banks, and they make sure that what you're doing is 100% above board. So you'll be vetted, they'll do background checks on you, you'll get audited once a year. They come in, they'll do an audit on your books and everything that you're doing. They want to make sure that you are following the guidelines of the financial institutions to the utmost degree. And that is the sponsor bank's job, to make sure that you do everything above board. They'll also make sure that all the banking information is exactly right at all times and the money is moved in the right direction. Industry term number 4, ISO. That stands for Independent Sales Organization. Now, a lot of people in this business, they say, oh, I want to become an ISO. If you want to become an ISO, you got to figure out that you're going to need about 100 to 150,000 transactions a month to break even into this game. Now, we talk about interchange many times before. You'll get some interchange, and at that level, that'll help pay for it. You have to pay Visa, you have to pay MasterCard, you have to pay your sponsor bank, you're going to have to pay the processor, you're going to have to pay all these people to process that transaction and get some of that interchange money. And when you do that, you're going to have your associated costs every month or once a year, depending on who it is. Like Visa charges once a year, MasterCard once a year, and then they charge them a monthly fee on top of that. But you will have to get those kind of transactional volumes, about 150, and then what that allows you to do is to put people underneath you, and you can say you're an ISO, and now you can get agents underneath you, and they can board terminals underneath you. How you know that you are dealing with an ISO versus an agent is when you set up your ATM, you'll have a sticker, what they call a sponsor bank sticker, that your sponsor bank requires you to have on the ATM. And if you look at it, you'll see who the ISO is. Sometimes it'll say, like an example would be, say Cardtronics or PAI. So I hear a lot of times people say, oh, I'm an ISO under PAI. Nope, you're not an ISO. You're an agent under PAI. PAI is the ISO, and PAI's processor is FIS. Okay, same thing with Cardtronics. People say, oh, I'm an ISO under Cardtronics. Nope, you're not. Cardtronics is the ISO. You're an agent underneath Cardtronics, and Cardtronics, Cardtronics bought years ago. They bought CDS. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with Cardtronics." Hey, I think they're a great company, but if you don't want to deal with them, and then you process under CDS, Cardtronics owns CDS. Just to give you guys a little heads up. So make sure you understand who the players are in the game and who the companies are in the game. That leads us to processor. So who are my processors? So there used to be a lot more. We used to have a processor like Elan. Now they're gone. WorldPay, they're gone. You have Switch Commerce, you have CDS, you have First ISO, you have FIS, and there's a few other ones into the processing world. But those are the big ones. Now, if you want to process transactions, the only way you do it, and I hear it on the videos a lot, oh, I got my ATM, I got my corporation set up, I got my bank account, I gotta find a processor. Yes, that's true, but you can't go direct to the processor. You have to go with an ISO to get there. Now, some of the people in the game, they're agents, they can help you go through the agent, will help you get to the ISO. That's a possibility too. But for the most part, you can't get, if you're just new to the game or in the game for a while, you can't go directly to processor. You have to go through an ISO. Now, PDQ, I own PDQ, Merchant Enterprises. We're a certified ISO under Pueblo Bank and Trust in Pueblo, Colorado, or now they call themselves PB&T. Wonderful company. All the other companies, all the other sponsor banks, there's another one called MetaBank. They're a tremendous asset to our industry also. So, I hope those tips are helpful. Understand some of the lingo now that you're looking at being in the ATM business, and you understand some of the lingo and the terminology. And I hope that tip was helpful. Always remember, we have an ATM A to Z course that teaches you from A to Z how to be successful, and we also have an ATM Mastermind group page that's free to join for like-minded individuals just like yourself. I'm going to see you guys over at the ATM Mastermind group page. I got a couple more industry terms I want to share with you guys over there. Thank you very much.